What's going on, children? It's the Mr. T of Expat Relocation.
Grab this dude by his heels, turn him upside down, and shake all the money out of his pockets that he owed these people.
We're here in Phnom Penh, Cambodia with my good friend D.
Nice to see you.
Show me some love, D.
Hey, bub.
My man, brush your teeth. So he's been living in Southeast Asia for how long?
Nearly 4 years.
Okay, so you've been out here for about 4 years.
Yeah,
and what brings you to Cambodia at the moment?
I come out to have a look at some apartments. So you hooked me up with some connections to meet some people, do some viewings. Because I'm looking at the real estate here, I think it's at a less developed stage in other places like Vietnam.
Oh yeah,
so
definitely.
I can see there's potential opportunity here where it's a few years behind Vietnam, for example.
Oh yes.
And you kindly connected me with some people that showed me around a load of places, picked me up and just drove me around different locations, different types of properties. So and they were very honest, actually gave me some positive and negatives. So they weren't just like, they weren't very salesy actually. They were quite.
They're looking out for you.
They were. It was quite friendly actually. It was just more of a okay and talking to you about the local area. Even one of the places that I went to see, the lady was like, okay, this is a nice view, but she also said how it can be noisy at times. So she did give the pros and cons.
Sure, she wasn't like this. Look how amazing our place is, and so they were being straight with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I didn't get any smell of, because for me, if I start to smell any bullshit, then you go, well, where does that end? You know?
Right.
So does that make sense? So for me, I didn't get any of that from them, and it was it seemed legit.
Yeah, no, they're really good people. I have a really good group of people that can find under market real estate out here. Yeah. You can see the kind of condos they were showing you, taking you around to places that are legit. And you know, D here is a longtime customer. We actually helped him get into Vietnam during the height of the pandemic. Yeah. So we've had a long working relationship, and I didn't ask him for any money for connecting him to people out here in Phnom Penh. I just said, if you guys close a big deal, look out for me or something.
Yeah, of course we will.
You know, that's fine, but I didn't charge him like an additional fee or like, you know, so this is kind of my attitude towards business, and I try to treat people like you're part of a family. Like if you wanted to open up a company or something and do something or get you off of like a serious legal situation, like I might have to charge some more money for that, but like for helping out a friend who's then a couple years later, you know, looking to buy property or looking for a job, or like, I don't mind doing that for people, you know.
I appreciate it. That's very kind. No, I think you've been consistent with that. We have a group where we talk, and that's consistently the vibe that we get from the group, that there's goodwill, you know, from yourself and the other people in the group as well.
I was just a nutty guy who came out to teach English, man, and I got I learned the game.
Yeah. It's,
you know,
it's good. Well, the thing is, the ESL thing is I actually like teaching.
Cool.
It's a nice lifestyle, but there is part of you that questions, I'm going to have to think about another way, you know, like in some other way, like for your future.
Sure, there's no future in it unless you're going to go all in on your education and become like a big international school teacher and get a pension through like one of the larger schools. Like, you can go that route if that's the route you want to go. It's just not the route I want to go.
No, completely. And
if I can help it.
And the thing is, I would say is if you do that, my feeling in Vietnam would be that some of the companies might treat you a little bit like they own you.
Oh yeah, I mean, and it's going to be managed by foreigners with their egos and their, you know, self-inflated beliefs about themselves. Whereas, you know, the Vietnamese, you know, they have a certain way of doing business, and it's different than the way the West is. You know, and I think Vietnam is a lot more challenging for foreigners, whereas here in Cambodia, I find it to be much more comfortable, much more laid back. What prompted you to look at Cambodia as an investment destination?
A, the fact it's less developed. B, it seems to be a little bit more open. Vietnam seems to be fairly complex. I'm sure
getting more complex.
The real estate there is already well inflated.
Crazy expensive.
If you're asking to me in Saigon, it is. And what is concerning to me, this might not be very popular to say, but I have spoken to some Vietnamese recently that fully believe that no areas or some areas will never go down in price. That might be true, but I think if you look at historically the West, that doesn't seem to add up. To
No,
me. Does
and
that-
China just had their whole fucking economy collapse around housing and and Vietnamese build in almost identical ways.
Yeah, so that belief is concerning, and again, it is compared to the salary. It's something like London and New York, isn't it?
Sure.
Where there's a salary here, and the prices are here.
It's insane.
For a normal person. It's just they're never going to get there.
And I was living in Nha Trang, and Nha Trang is a lot like lower pay for Vietnamese people, like very low pay, bro.
Really?
Yeah, like maybe 6 million a month, something like this for someone with like, you know, a decent job, like maybe like an accountant or something like that.
Are you kidding? Oh, not that. I thought you were going to say like
No.
someone. What's the cost of living like there in the train?
Nha Trang is really, really cheap.
Okay.
It's extremely fucking cheap. It's a paradise. It's just really, really like a peaceful place, like lots of good food. I think the expats who've lived in Vietnam longer know it's cool and know why it's cool. And the younger kind of like internet following the trends knows more about Da Nang.
Okay, Da Nang, yeah.
But I find Da Nang to be more expensive, more spread out. The beach area is not as interesting. But you know, all these places are nice, man. It's just whether or not you want to deal with the visa situation in Vietnam.
So is Da Nang kind of like their Chiang Mai? Chiang Mai's kind of like-
It is. It's like their Chiang Mai. It's exactly like their Chiang Mai, except for in Thailand you can get a visa.
Right, so, yeah.
You know, so these young backpacker kids or the aspiring digital nomads, not the ones that are rich enough to open companies, but the ones that are trying to get there, you know, like they are interested in places like Da Nang, when really I think they should be looking at places like here, like Cambodia, because Cambodia has one of the easiest visa systems in the world.
It's straightforward.
You just pay. Laos is also a really good option.
Really?
Yep.
For digital nomads teaching or all of it?
I love me some Lao.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And it's...
Dude, Lao was awesome.
Yeah?
I love me some Lao.
Is that for for digital nomads or teaching or?
Luang Prabang, you can get a house out there, man. We met an old French man. He's paying $600 a year.
A year?
A year for a house. He's not in the town. He's out in the village, but like he's out by some charity school from
A year?
like some, I don't know what it was, like Dutch or French school or something.
Is he retired or?
Yeah, he's an old guy. He just lives out there. He's got a 2-bedroom and a garden.
So he could probably like go, right, I've got 30 grand and I'll live out my days. You know what I mean? I'll live out my days on 30 grand.
And it's like that in Cambodia too, bro. It's like that here too. You just got to leave the capital. Phnom Penh is the only city that's kind of expensive.
Like Saigon. Like Saigon is like London or New York. Like this.
Exactly. If you took 50 out to Siem Reap, you could get something way crazier. The difference is that the growth in Siem Reap will never be like the growth in Phnom Penh. It's a tourist town mostly. And it's the main reason why tourists come to the country, but like all the business, all the China money, all the fucking embassies, consulates, charities, it's all here in Phnom Penh.
And you could, even when I was driving around today, you could see very expensive cars. You could see actually a lot more cars to bikes compared to Saigon.
Phnom Penh is a rich city here.
More cars on like tuk-tuks.
Yeah, more cars and tuk-tuks.
Love the tuk-tuks.
Less horn noise, less pollution, I felt.
Yeah, people are also less horny. They bang the horn, less horny.
Well,
the horn, like bing, 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 beep, 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 beep.
But yeah.
Yeah, less horny.
but I think I also thought that about Hanoi. Like it felt.
They're more aggressive in Hanoi though. They drive like more like.
You thought so?
It just seems less because there's less people, bro.
Oh, right.
It's less crowded in Hanoi, but they drive more aggressive than here.
Right.
I mean, here the people sometimes drive aggressively, but most people are pretty chill. I mean, it's just
very chill.
You know.
I only saw one person, you know, on a bike when they do that thing where they swerve and they go.
You'll see that here. You'll see them dart in front of a fucking truck.
Yeah, I only saw one of them today, but in Saigon you normally see a few a day, right? But then it's just so. I mean, it's. I've come to realise it's quite. I love Saigon, but it's quite overwhelming on your senses.
I love me some Saigon, man. It made me who I am today. I don't want to live there if I can help it. I'll visit for a week.
Too busy. Yeah.
I think for most expats, I can't imagine there's that many that have stayed there long term that are
There's some,
not in D2.
but they live out in like D2 or D7 or D9
I can't imagine there's that many that are like, I'm in Tan
or
Bin.
Two Duck.
I've been in Tan Bin for 15 years. I just can't. I don't know. I might be wrong.
I know some dudes who are gonna end up in Tan Phu for like 10 years for sure. For sure.
You think so?
Well, I don't know where else they're gonna go.
Really?
I mean, for a few of them, that's it. I know one old man who's very well established. He's married to a very rich old Vietnamese woman, and
really?
Yeah, and they live in one of those like fake European cities out by Aeon Mall in Tan Phu.
Oh, right.
But honestly, man, like no matter like if you were to put Saigon against Phnom Penh, like in any head-to-head match, the only advantage Saigon has is that you make more money. I think and the work ethic is better, and business ethic is better.
The cost of living similar?
Much cheaper here.
You think much cheaper?
Definitely, if you know where to go.
Yeah?
I pay $480 a month. And again, because I have the hookup on apartments, you know?
Right.
And it's the same thing kind of like why we're helping you with the housing, right? Like the housing in Phnom Penh, for those of you who don't know, can be really fucked up. You can see some really stupid shit for like a lot of money, or you could find something that's actually like a really good value for like the price.
Oh yeah,
it doesn't make any sense.
The real estate guy today, he told me there are some apartments that are going for $3,000 or $4,000 a month, and I think he said 2-bed, and I was looking.
Yeah, there are.
He showed me. I think it was close to here, and there was some building. He pointed, and they're worth a few $1 million.
Yeah, sure.
In my brain, I'm going, where's that? Who is that? But you know what I mean?
It's embassy workers.
Right.
It's fucking NGO. These big charities that are set up out here.
Right.
They're all in BKK1. There's a lot of Chinese investment, obviously, but Japan and Korea are out here.
Korea as well.
Oh yeah, of course. All these countries have money out here. Australia is very big out here. The Australian consulate here is huge.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Right.
Yeah, it's right over by where Naga World, where the casino and the big Chinese city. We still live in this building called The Bridge on the 40th story.
Oh, right.
Amazing view, terrible building. Right in the middle, heart of like water is like $3 because they're just robbing the Chinese.
Oh really?
It's so
Yeah, it's horrible.
I have to say, actually, someone even told me today that they did charge, the Chinese get charged more here.
Crazy.
And I found it odd because it was like, it's weird, isn't it? Because when we were younger, there was always this idea that they would be the other way around, like we'd get charged.
We're the ones being charged more.
Now it's like,
yeah, the foreigners. You can find foreign food out here for cheap. And that's the other thing that I like is in Saigon, if I eat Western food, I'm gonna spend a lot of money. Whereas here, I just ate Western food, and it's like home style New York Italian food for $13. I had 5 dishes.
For 2 people.
For 2 people.
Wow.
And then there's like a hummus place out here where you can have bomb Lebanese food and pay, really good Lebanese food, and pay maybe for one person between $5 and $7.
Wow. Okay.
You know, you can get like really, really good Khmer food. Me and Mish are eating like largely organic meals with vegetables, fish, like really healthy curries and stuff at a place that gives you water and is like good environment. And we pay like $8 to about $12.
One other thing is whether I noticed as an advantage is in Saigon, because there is really, I would say there is no public transport, or almost no.
The tuk-tuks are better here.
The tuk-tuks, because in a rainy season, if you go, right, I'm going to get a bike, I drive a bike,
right,
get a grab bike, or I'm going to pay for a car, it's not that much for individually, but if you get it every time it's raining, it kind of adds up a little bit, right? It's not that expensive.
It's like $2, right?
For the tuk-tuks. Tuk-tuks are $2, yeah. But
even less, sometimes $1.
Even in Saigon, taxis normally $5, $6,
Yeah,
$7,
yeah.
Quite easily, right? So tuk-tuk, it gives you that cover from the rain.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you're paying the grab bike price.
And you can put two people in them.
Yeah, you
sometimes
sometimes
3.
three.
Yeah, exactly. So so it's kind of almost like a semi-outdoor taxi experience.
It's amazing. I love the tuk-tuks.
So I kind of got to say, obviously it's not it's a different experience from the bike.
Sure.
I would say that in rainy season,
it's much better, bro.
It's much better because it's the reality of life in these countries. It's like you're going to have how many months? 3-4 months?
A few. It's rainy season now.
It's rainy season. I've got to say at least 4 months, right, where you're like any time it could just happen.
And if you're working and having to commute,
you know what I mean?
You got to get the plastic bag out and cover yourself.
My favorite, when the Grab guy has one thing and he puts you under it, and then you're under it and you're going, I don't know where I am. I've been driving for 10 minutes, and you put your head up and you go,
you're just hoping he can see.
Am I still alive? Yeah, I'm sweating.
Looking at the ground, you're like, are we there yet?
Yeah, you're hoping he can see because you can't see. And I was first time got out there, I was commuting from like Tan Phu, which is past the airport, and I was living in District 3. So it's like a fucking 40-minute commute during rush hour, during like normal
Sometimes
times.
1 hour.
Like 15 minutes during normal time.
Yeah, mate, it's nuts. I remember the place in District 3, the first place high above the shop, right?
That's when
the first place I come met you guys. Yeah.
Well, I think you met us when we lived on Wing Tim Minh Khai.
That's right.
Yeah, we were. The first place we lived was this hotel off of Winden Chu.
Okay.
And then District 3 also, and then we moved up to this lady who lives up in District 3 off of Lichentang.
Right.
This is nicer area, better stuff, but the apartment was like a very clean box.
Too small.
Like a fucking phone booth. Like
What, the one that I saw you in? Or?
Yeah, did you visit us in it? Maybe it had a roof.
No, he was at Mr. Keen.
He was
I
at
saw
Mr.
you
Keen's.
above.
The beefsteak place.
With
all the roaches, right? Like
I didn't see the road.
oh my god, bro! We used to bang the thing at night before we went down, and you'd hear the rats and the roaches running. Oh yeah, it was terrible.
It is
pretty bad.
I mean, I think also that
They'd be eating all the cats.
Well, this is.
You know?
Probably some of them are.
There's a lot of, at least there's a lot of cats here. You see them all the time, huh? I mean, maybe some people do eat them, but I don't think it's as much as in Vietnam. Because I never see no pets and like not pets but like wild cats, you know, not too much.
But also the Khmer, I've just been here a short time, but they were very friendly. Like I found them to be. Actually, English level was pretty good.
Yeah, their English was very good here.
Very good. Very friendly.
They're cool.
In quite a sincere way, and I would say they came across as very humble, but not in a nice way.
You should meet people from Laos. Yeah. Lao people are fucking cool also. Really cool. Yeah. Everybody looks at Vietnam and Thailand and they kind of overlook Cambodia and Laos. And a lot of times I think people overlook Laos just because the remoteness and it's kind of difficult to fly in and out of there. But I think a lot of people overlook Cambodia because, you know, it's Cambodia. It's had like a really violent history and it's, you know, got a lot of sex tourism and like there's a lot of parts of this that are kind of, you know, there's fucking raggedy parts of Cambodia, man. I mean, you can't deny that there is problems here. But then at the same time, like there's like a lot of more investment. Things have developed a lot. Like the first time I came here, a lot of the roads, even in Phnom Penh, they weren't fully paved. There wasn't really so many tall buildings. We stayed over by the riverside and it was fucking the jungle. It was really way worse than it is now.
Yeah.
I mean,
disgusting.
it was sketchy.
Fuck.
Like,
but some of the places that I've been around today, and like the apartments, and B, like one by the riverside. There was one of the places I saw was by the riverside, and then we drove around, and there was quite a few like walkable cafes. You know,
along the river is good.
Within 5-10 minutes, there was like quite a few cafe places that were like, oh, you could just walk around and get somewhere. Where I live now, you can, but it's not really.
Phnom Penh is way more walkable.
You know, like so I don't think Saigon's that, unless you're in a certain area, it's not that walkable.
No, Phnom Penh is way more walkable, unless you're in specific little bubbles.
Yeah.
There's like Diamond Island, you would probably want to drive. Yeah. Or like Euro Village, which is like maybe 6 kilometers. It's crazy. It's a fake Europe. It's a European city with like Dutch windmills and like canals and gondolas.
Yeah,
and it's got all these like big luxury suburban apartments that are around it and houses and.
Wow. Check out the video.
Yeah, and we have a video on it actually, guys. You know, if you want to go through our old Cambodia library, but
is that got a lot of expats?
Yeah, a lot of Chinese, a lot of rich Khmer, some foreign Westerners are out there. The ones who want to live in a more like idyllic. It's right along the river, so it has like a walkway along the river, and you can go directly from like Diamond Island through this giant fake French arch that goes to the riverside.
Yeah. It's really beautiful. There's like people running, jogging up and down, exercising.
At
people
sunset.
riding their bikes and shit.
At sunset, it's incredible. And they do their
some boats go by. Like it's pretty cool.
Oh, I mean, also I just going back to Hanoi briefly. Just seeing people jogging and driving their bikes in a peaceful way on a Sunday morning. I'm not saying that no one does it in Saigon, but it was just really
Hanoi's
it
chill.
felt different.
Hanoi's chill, man. Did you go out to Westlake?
Yeah, that's supposed. Yeah,
In
yeah.
Teho?
Yeah, that's
Teho.
stayed in
The
Teho.
trick is with Teho is don't fucking live in Teho.
I don't live in Teho.
No,
just
no.
Visit.
Hang out in Teho if you want to go to restaurants or cafes. You can just live a little bit away from Teho where you still can even have a view of the lake most likely, but it will be in an area where the services are like not as geared towards Western foreigners and you'll pay a lot less for everything.
Right, okay.
You know, like you...
And you still have that beautiful view.
And if you want like
right.
really dope architecture, look at like Ba Dinh. It's like right between the old quarter and Teho. It's kind of like in the middle of both of them.
Right.
And it's got a lot of old quarter style architecture. So you were saying that you really liked your time in Teho?
I thought it was nice. I said even the expat area. I mean, it didn't feel like Bui Vien. Mm-hmm. It didn't feel like
Like
that.
Beer Street, like
Beer-
old quarter?
Yeah, it just didn't feel like that. I didn't feel like my spider senses weren't going off in terms of. I don't know about you, but Bui Vien, I kind of feel
Sketchy,
like
you gotta be careful
there's
down
some
there.
stuff.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like
yeah.
even if you can't see it, you know somewhere near.
There's a lot of like weird sex tourism and like some cracked out foreigners too.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more like here.
I really, I know women trying to pull me into any, you know, they hello sir. I didn't see it, get any of that.
It's real bad here with that, but it's only really in the riverside.
Right.
Like if you go to other parts of Phnom Penh, you don't see that shit at all.
Is that right?
Yeah, really you don't, man. I mean, you get crackheads everywhere because it's whatever, you know, but like Tul Tumpeng is like mostly where the teachers live because the accommodations are cheap and it's like lots of Western food.
Right.
As long as you don't want anything that's like too high standard. Like if you want something high standard, TTP is very expensive.
Right.
It used to be really cheap, but if you just want to rent like a Khmer style house, you could find them here for, you'd be surprised, like it's probably $500, $600 a month for a house.
A house. Okay,
Yeah, you could find it. It just won't be, it's going to be more and more like further out, but like they're building that whole new area back there, Hun Sin Boulevard, which is where I think you saw some condos today. Like some of our people took you around there.
Yeah.
And did you see that how they're developing that area?
Oh man, it looked. I mean, already that project was very modern. You could see it being built. They had also had like a big. So in the showroom, it was a show. They had a showroom and they had a big map of where they're going to be developing. I think a new airport, not that far.
Yeah,
from
it's going
there.
to be on Hun Sin Boulevard.
Yeah, and they're going to have a rail connecting. I'm not sure if it's a railway or some sort of bus or something like that, but connecting that area.
Cool.
So it sounds like they are like working on developing that area for sure.
And the blueprint for Phnom Penh was built by the French. So the layout of the city is like a grid with a circle around it.
Right.
It's like one of the most like, it makes the most sense out of most cities I've seen in Southeast Asia.
Right, and the thing is also, when you say far out here, it's not like far out
It's
compared
not.
to Saigon. Far out in Saigon means you're driving for 45 minutes, you know what I mean? Like, or could be potentially more. 45 minutes, I can imagine you didn't get across city, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's
Are you
very
kidding me?
different.
In 20 minutes, 30 minutes with no traffic.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends what you're defining as across the city. Like if you're going to go from the two longest extremes of the city, well then that might take you a while. But I mean, it's still not going to take you like as long as it would take you to go half that distance in Saigon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, the thing with Phnom Penh is it just makes so much more sense than most of the cities in Southeast Asia. Like Bangkok is amazing because the Thais have been able to like outsource their infrastructure and get like companies from, I think the BTS is possibly from Japan or, but they're definitely like overseas companies that help them to build that whole system. And they're able to manage that somehow. Whereas in like Vietnam, it's not been able to really happen, you know, like not public-private, not public, not, you know what I mean?
There
Like,
seems to be some block with that line, right? They built a line.
they built a line,
it's not
but
open
it's
yet.
not really finished completely. And like
Still, yeah.
the stations, it's been like, I think 10 years.
It's 10 years.
Yeah.
I imagine the next lines will come more quickly, but you would, even that being the case, it would be reasonable to expect it's going to be 10, 20 years before they've got some sort of.
But if you look at Bangkok, even with the good infrastructure, if you look at how they built the city and like how they developed it, it makes no fucking sense. Like they did have some good old original roads, but it just is like cobwebs of dead end alleys that don't go all the way through and don't connect to anything. And
Make any sense
some
at all.
some that do, and you know have
But
like cities in them basically.
But like they have a system, right? So they got the subway, and then usually almost at every stop there's motorbike taxis at the bottom.
Yeah, so their infrastructure is pretty
So
good.
they're like ready for the people to.
Okay, but you know, at some point they're planning for Vietnam to go like with less bikes, right? It's a plan for the future, but just I like I'm saying that
You
as
need
well.
to bring in the tuk-tuk.
Well, yeah, because basically the Hems, I mean, the Hem I live on, if you get one car there, it causes like a traffic jam, basically, because it's like, it's so small, so there's one car and then a load of bikes come
And they
behind
try to take cars in these fucking alleyways in like District 10, and it's like, how are you gonna think you're gonna bring a car through here?
And they do it.
You know, and they somehow
They
do
pull
it.
it off.
Sometimes they need the help of the people in the fucking area, but it's like, holy
It's like
shit.
a project to get through.
But you know, here in Phnom Penh, that was the point I was originally making, is that even though Bangkok has the infrastructure, if you look at how the cities are designed, it's crazy. Here, there's not really there are some small alleyways that dead end, but it's not tons. Like it's really like a grid within the city center, and then there's a sphere around it.
Okay.
So and that general area, like, it makes a lot of sense. Like most of the roads that you would assume go through.
Yeah.
It's walkable. There's fucking restaurants and cafes, bars, coffee shops. You can get all the Western food from America in the supermarkets here. You can buy Mexican food.
Yeah.
Like all the processed, like refried beans and like Tostita chips and shit. It's so easy to get it here. It's in like every supermarket.
Crazy.
Like in the wet market out here called Russian Market is where we do most of our shopping, because you can get all the fucking big produce, and it's kind of like a market where they take tourists to. It's in TTP.
I went through there today, yeah.
Did you see Russian Market today?
Yeah,
so that area is fucking great, because you can go in there and there's like a dry goods lady. I'll introduce you to her. She's a wholesaler, and you can get like wholesale almonds, like dried vegetables, like really healthy snacks, like healthy dry food that foreigners want.
Right.
And like I buy from her every week, so she's always giving me shit for free and fucking.
She's got tea as well.
Really?
Tea, coffee.
Like I said, my experience at Khmer have been like really friendly and in a sincere way, like not in any way like
they're cool
with
here.
an end goal, you know. It just felt like that was my initial adjustment. What I've had
The
so far.
Vietnamese are cool too. It's just more gangster, because there's way more fucking people.
Yeah.
You know? So the game is different out there. Like they're business minded. They're like friendly Chinese. And I know they would hate if I said that, but it is true in a way. They have the same work ethic. They have influence from the religion because of the colonization for like 600 fucking years.
They're a little more chill though.
They're much more chill. They're still Southeast Asian. They're still chilling, you know, but they have that like cultural influence. When you're in Hanoi and you see the old man with the tuk lao wearing the pajamas, you know, and like smoking the wooden bong, like sitting Indian style on his bike. Like, it's like, bro, this is the birthplace of the culture for them, right?
Yeah.
You know, Saigon is the Hollywood. Saigon is like the big city where you go to be in the movies, or like.
I was saying it's Vegas.
Vegas.
I was saying it's Vegas. That's my feeling when I went to Hanoi. It made me think.
Oh, sure.
Saigon is like Vegas with lights.
Yeah, like Hanoi is Boston and Saigon is New York, bro.
Right, I don't know about Boston.
And I grew up in New York, so I swam well in Saigon. I felt right at home, because I'm used to looking down the street and seeing fucking buildings for the end of civilization. It's just the traffic's way more weird in Asia for us as Westerners, you know, like.
Well, and also you don't have, you know, the option B of going, right, I'm going to jump on the subway. Well, for us we call it the tube, the underground. But in Saigon you're like, I have to get on the road.
You're on the back of a bike, or you're driving it yourself.
You know, unless you've got helicopter money.
When I got into
that's it, basically, isn't it? You know, it doesn't matter how rich you are, you know, whatever. There is no.
Yeah, you're right. When I got into
Right away out of it.
You can't.
I got into a higher income, I just started using cars. I just started having fools drive me around, because it's not that expensive unless you're going for like long distances. And then if there's two of us, you always have to factor in what the cost of two bikes would be.
Of course.
Whereas here I can get a tuk-tuk, and I can put me, Michelle, and you in a tuk-tuk. Because my friend Paul's about your size, and we've done it. They have a mid-sized tuk-tuk. They have tuk-tuks called the Onion, and they're like mini cars. They're just with no safety or engines. The engine's like on your lap.
No health and safety.
Yeah, it's on his lap basically. So
you might die, but yeah.
But you can buy them as a foreigner. You can buy them and drive them around. Yeah, sure. I saw a guy whipping a golf cart around.
Really?
Yeah, they're not gonna. I met one crazy dude back in the day out here. You know, I'm not gonna say too much about homie's story, but let's just say he had a lot of dough, and he was driving around in like this big black SUV. I think it was like a fucking Escalade estate or some crazy shit like that. His family had money back from wherever he was from, and he was driving around here with tinted black mirror windows and the fucking alarm that
Looked like a police car.
like the
Really?
and he was just a foreigner, and he was just out of his mind, you know, and he would roll up on people and just start and everyone would jump up and get the fuck out of his way, and it was crazy. Like, I only hung out with him a couple times. I was like,
did he try and like
there's crazy people here though,
did he
for sure.
try and, because some people do that at UK festivals where they dress as the security and they take stuff from people.
No, he wasn't a crook. He's just rich and like didn't give a fuck and has like lots of money and doesn't care and doesn't want to go back to where he's from because of whatever reasons.
I think it wasn't working.
No, he just does it. That's what he does.
See, I think also if for some people, if they've got too much time on their hands and they're alone,
there's some dumb motherfuckers out here, bro, but the visas are easy and they don't extradite here.
Yeah.
So it's hard if you want it in Canada or America and you come out here, they're not going to send you back most likely.
Right.
You know, so especially if you keep paying.
Right. So it's okay.
I mean, unless you get involved in some sex thing that's connected to like you know, international things, like because there's international organizations and police organizations that operate in Southeast Asia also, like Australia. I'm sure the UK, the United States probably have chapters too.
Right.
But like for like normal criminals, like criminals who maybe were drug dealers or, you know, they fucking beat somebody up and they needed to leave town, like a lot of people end up out here, you know, because you can just keep paying and staying, you know. And there's also a lot of drugs here, and there's the sex trade. And you also, but dude, it's not always so nefarious. Sometimes it's just like deadbeat losers. Like tonight we saw some old man who was like needlessly abusing the girl who works at the Super Duper, the fucking, we weren't at the Super Duper tonight. We were at the Smile tonight. So Smile and Super Duper are like convenience stores that have a lot of Western products, and like, you know, this one is right on 172, which is one street that has great food. Like the food on 172 is off the chain and it's cheap, but it's just all like girly bars and like kind of fucking like old strung out dudes looking around angry, and occasionally during the day it's like tourists and some backpackers, because again there's like Ethiopian restaurants and things like this over there. But like at night, man, it starts to be just like hookers and like fucking crackhead shit going on, and foreigners coming out bleeding out of their fucking heads. And
is there quite a big Ethiopian community, like with their food and that sort of thing?
Oh, the food scene out here is insane, bro. Yeah. It wipes its ass with Saigon.
Really?
If you're talking about diversity, Saigon has got some Vietnamese food that is, of course, you know, I fuck with Vietnamese food, especially at a higher to mid price point. Like the places where you can have like pure like organic food for fucking, I don't know, $3 a dish. But I mean, like if you want any kind of food that's not Vietnamese food, it's fucking expensive in Saigon. It's cheaper though in places like Nha Trang, because there's more Russians out there, and Russians want bigger portions, and they like cheese, so they want different dishes. They want pizzas, shit like that, you know. They want fish cooked with butter rather than with like however the Vietnamese do it. The seafood in Nha Trang was some of the cheapest I've ever seen. Me and Michelle were putting down for like $8, like fucking big thing of like fried shrimp, like big, like amount with like side of tofu, morning glory with garlic, rice, and I think paying like $8 to $9.
Wow.
You know, yeah, it was like, once you know the spots up there, it's like fucking cheap. But Cambodia is too. If you leave Phnom Penh, it is fucking cheap in this country.
Is it just this is
really expensive.
This is the spot where you're like, is this the London or New York kind of thing? Right?
Battambang, like I have a friend out there. He's running the first jiu-jitsu club out there. It's cool. He's doing his little thing out there. I'm proud of him. Shout out to you, Nathan. Battambang, Kiri Jiu-Jitsu. If you guys are gonna come pass through that area and you're into jiu-jitsu, check out Kiri Battambang. He's just DIYing it out there himself. But Battambang is like a kind of place, bro, where like you can go out there and you could have $5 grand and you could just start a business or something and it would probably work.
And how big is that?
It's the second largest city in Cambodia. I think it's a little bit over 100,000 or so people. People think Siem Reap is bigger, but Siem Reap's actually a really small town. It's just more tourists go to Siem Reap because of the Angkor Wat and the temples. Battambang Battambang's bigger, but it's just not as visited.
Right.
And there's a lot of foreigners who go out there, but you can get house for rent for $150 a month. And then you could set up your business down in the bottom of the fucking house. And now you suddenly have, you know, the fucking pub from London in fucking Battambang, you know. I'm not saying that's like a specific part that's missing, but it is that kind of place.
Yeah,
it's one of the reasons why I had an interest in Central Asia for a while, because I know people who lived out in like Kyrgyzstan and like Bishkek, and they were saying it's that kind of place where you can just go out there and like, I'm gonna start a yoga studio. Like, where in the world could you start a yoga studio, right? Like, it's the most played out fucking business on earth, right? But over there was a place where you could do that, and I think Battambang is a place like that.
And you think Central Asia now is not like that?
Oh, well, you know, Central Asia's biggest problem is it's just surrounded by a lot of conflict. But I mean, we are too.
Right.
Southeast Asia is a hotbed of fucking drama.
Right.
I mean, right, you heard there was unfortunately recently a shooting in Vietnam, and the government's been cracking down really hard, so hopefully they have the situation under control and dock lock, because that's scary for business. That's something that concerns me as a foreigner. You know, I'm glad to see that they've made a lot of arrests and that it seems like the government's taking the situation very seriously. But it's having a major effect on immigration policy. So living in Vietnam is going to become a lot more stressful and a lot more expensive and complicated. And small mistakes can result in extremely expensive problems that just never fucking end, basically, unless you have the right people. And that's why people use us guys, because we can get you out of those situations in Vietnam. It's the same with helping our friend here. I'm not gonna tell you what he's paying or his budget, what he's looking to get the condo for, but we've set him up with people who have shown him several different condos in his budget, drove him around all day, took him from point A to point B. We have the same contacts in Thailand, although they're not gonna drive you around. Thailand's a different kind of market. You're gonna have to meet people, and like, you know, but they're gonna meet you. They'll meet you in a cafe, and you guys they can talk about business. But I warn you guys, Thailand, I have some people in the provinces. I gave you a woman who's in the provinces.
She's really cool as well.
She's super cool.
She's really nice.
She's a super cool lady.
Really nice.
I like her a lot. But I have really strong connections up in Chiang Mai.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And they're like really strong in the government, these people, and they're very professional. It is Thailand, so don't expect motherfuckers to reply to you very quickly.
Right.
Like, you know, you might get them, you know, you might message them and ask them something, and then it might take a week, but they'll reply to you, and it's going to happen. Your service comes through. It's just different culture. Here in Cambodia, what I find that's really a valuable thing we can offer people is just clarity on like what you're really supposed to pay for products. And like, you know, this is a city where you could go into a restaurant and you could spend $20 on a pizza, and then you could go down the street and find that same pizza for $4.
Yeah. Like I definitely noticed that in the shops there's certain things that if you're careful about what you're spending, you can live very cheaply. But if you just willy-nilly, you could end up paying.
No, you'll lose all your money here. You'll lose everything.
Yeah.
Shout out to the late, great No Joke Howard, who came out here and fucked around with the lady boys. You can YouTube him. That motherfucker was off the hook. I think a lot of us first discovered Phnom Penh by watching that fool cat off and do drugs out here. So I'm gonna always tell you guys that like, it's just like in Vietnam. If you have like a drug problem or you're like fucked up and have mental issues, this is probably not gonna be the best part of the world for you to be in, because nobody here is gonna stop you ever, and they'll just keep selling it to you and feeding it to you until you go mental or die or end up in a fucking prison or some crazy situation, right? So you need to have some restraint here, because it's not a place where anyone's gonna say no to you if you have money.
Yeah.
You know, and unfortunately, because it's like that, and you would attract a certain element that's like kind of like a fucking, what do you call it, a leech, like a parasite off of the country. But it's a necessary parasite, because in some ways it employs people, and for lack of anything else, it brings a lot of money into the center of the city. It's like, well, how do you tell a country that's a poor country not to take money like that, an economy like that? It's like, You know what I mean? And like here in Phnom Penh, you have these issues, but you also have a large NGO sector. You have a large sector of people who are foreigners that came here, married locals, or just personally invested themselves and opened businesses or small businesses. It's easier. This is probably the easiest place in Southeast Asia for foreigners to like have a guest house or to have like a restaurant, you know. Like one of the places where you can definitely have the most success, especially if you have a strong passport, UK, US, you know, I say this a lot in my videos, guys, nationality is everything in Southeast Asia. Yes, there is like race is a factor, but like nationality is like Trump's race and all, you know, like the strength and respect of your passport is very important. It's very important in this part of the world. And one of the things that's really valuable is that, you know, Cambodia has such an open business climate, and they have since like really as long as I can remember. You pay your business visa, you do everything legal to set up your company, you pay your taxes, and they leave you the fuck alone for the most part, you know. But in a normal circumstance where you're just investing in like a small business in a place, they're not going to bother you too much. They might come in and audit you and see if you're paying taxes. But, you know, I know guys who ran businesses unofficially here for years before they shut them down. And, you know, you can do that in places in Vietnam, but I just feel like it will get out of control so quickly, and it just ends up becoming a problem always. Whereas here, I know guys owning businesses for 10, 15 years here. Yeah. They're not married. They just been here. Yeah, just been here.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I would say if you're looking to invest in this country, it's a good place to invest. But it is very much in with China. So if World War III kicks off, you know, it's going to be a little bit more friendly probably to you in Vietnam, I would think. I mean, you know, I don't know.
It's neutral, right?
I would hope that they stay out of it, but come on, it's, you know.
Yeah.
It's the neighbors, bro. You think Mexico's going to stay out of it? The U.S. is fucking going to annex everything. Yeah. World War III, the strongest guys are going to start grabbing everything around them, and you just got to make sure you're in a place that likes you, you know?
Vietnam, they're trying to cross the line between them.
They are. They walk a balance, and militarily they have a good relationship with the U.S., but for security purposes, obviously.
Right. But here they are more.
Well, China puts all the money in the economy.
So right. So they probably got.
We have influence here. I mean, I think the Cambodian people have always been really fair to Western foreigners too. Like they give us really good visas, but I mean, it's hard to ignore. Like since the Chinese investment in the casinos, the amount of fucking infrastructure that I've seen built, bro. When I first came to this country, it was like, man, going out to the killing fields, it was just dust. There was like fucking dirt road and bumpy. We had to get masks. Wow. You know, we were young kids. We had only been to Thailand. We'd never seen anything like that yet. It was the first time I ever seen like what I thought as a child was a third world country, you know? Right. Yeah, you know, and now there's shopping malls and towers with beautiful rooftop pools and...
Oh mate, yeah, a lot of the places I saw today had pools in terms of the apartments I looked at. In some ways, this reminds me of Malaysia. Actually, the way it's developing, there's some Muslims, and in some ways it does feel quite modern in some
and if you go to the provinces, you go back like 500 years.
Oh wow.
But it's amazing, and the people are fantastic. And Western Cambodia is like, it's so hot, it's like a desert. It's like this incredibly unhospitable environment. Okay. But when the fucking Tonle Sap Lake floods, the whole place just floods with water, and that's when they grow all their rice. That's like how the Angkor civilization developed along this like part of the Mekong where the lake floods. Like, you know, the Mekong River flows in two directions, actually.
I didn't know that. No.
It's like the only river in the world that like flows to the ocean and then flows back up.
Is that right?
Yeah, and they have these freshwater dolphins that I think are probably going to go extinct with all the damming of the rivers. But it's also difficult because countries like Laos now have electricity, and like, how are you going to tell them to not have electricity? You know what I mean? Laos is a country that I think if you're a foreigner and you're willing to take a chance and you just want to live somewhere completely interesting, Laos is probably the coolest place that I know of for someone who's really looking for something up and coming. You know, like that's...
What would you say about the expat lifestyle? There are a lot
cool
of
people. Most of the ones I met were cool. It's a visa. Vientiane is a visa-run town. It's mostly people running visas from Thailand. They don't stay very long. There's a little riverside area, not much to do. There's probably some decent jobs. I think you can make about 1,000 to 1,200, I heard, which in Laos would be quite a lot of money.
I mean, so and so you'd have a decent quality of life.
Oh yeah, you would if you drove for sure. And it's so small. Like say like Vientiane is like just the fucking French Quarter of Phnom Penh maybe.
Oh wow.
Like, you know, but here's a big French Quarter in Phnom Penh. It's quite nice, actually. It's like Hanoi. There's a lot of beauty here in Phnom Penh, you know.
Yeah.
Every time you go on a rooftop or you go drive through a road, you're looking at beautiful things and big, beautiful temples. And the architecture is more matching here. And like, you know, it's a lot of beautiful old French buildings rotting. And Laos has tons of that. But the area that I found to be the one that's I think is going to blow up and that I think is going to have the most potential for expats is called Luang Prabang. And that's in northern Laos, which now has a fucking speed train that takes you to Vientiane. So you can get a flight from Vientiane to Bangkok or to wherever you got to go. And then you can take the speed train to Luang Prabang and get there in 2 hours.
Wow, okay.
It's fucking cool. And Luang Prabang is a really nice place, man. It's like, imagine Chiang Mai with like no people, like population of like maybe 10, 15,000.
Wow.
Beautiful temples. Like once you get 15 minutes out of the city, it's like slash burn farming, and like the people are like Hmong tribe people, and like, you know, Laotian also, but there's like other ethnic groups there. The only thing is that it's you know, it's illegal to have sex with someone from Laos if you're not married to them.
Okay.
And some of the hotels probably will be snitching, because they're going to get some sort of money for it or things like that.
Wow, that's, yeah.
So you might, if you lived out of town, I don't think it would make a difference, but like, or if you lived in like a condo, but the only place where I saw any kind of a condo was in Vientiane. Luang Prabang, like they said they had one building that you would kind of classify as like a Western standard building, but most of it's just wooden houses and rooms in wooden houses. And the town is a World Heritage Site. It's UNESCO.
Oh wow!
It's incredible. It's like where the Mekong River splits with this other river, and over there the Mekong is brown and the other river is blue. Here in Phnom Penh, the Mekong is blue and the other rivers are brown. So it's like reversed. You know, it's quite interesting. But yeah, it's like, you know, it's very, very beautiful, man. It's hilly. They have the temple that overlooks the city. All the houses are wooden. All the restaurants are really good, like, because it's Laos. So, you know, you have the French influence. And like, what did we pay for a massage? $5?
I think so.
Yeah, we paid about $5 for a massage out there. That's where the old man I met who was paying $600 a year. That's where he was living. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Peaceful, very peaceful.
Peaceful, like, because I think a lot of my family that they think that Vietnam is like that. They don't realise it's actually developed and got more expensive.
Crowded, busy, inflated. It's overpriced to me, but not if you can live in Nha Trang. Yeah. If you can go live in Nha Trang or in Quy Nhon or one of these little paradises in South Vietnam that's near to the where the beaches start getting like really good. Because I was just living in Nha Trang, and if you have the right visa out there, like it's such a nice lifestyle. But man, to ever feel secure, you really need to set up a company, and you need like with what we're doing now, like we're doing everything legal. Yeah. Like you can't play around anymore. It's not like open up a shell company. Now it's like you need to acquire a company that has a tax record. It needs to look like a legitimate company. When you buy it, it needs to have, they put together a business plan to show to the government to say this is company is going to really do something. Like for example, my company, it was a construction company, and then I turned it into an import-export company.
Right. Okay.
But it was a real company. It's paid taxes, and you know, this is the way it is right now. And you just have to pay your accounting, and you can live there, and it's legal. Everything's legal. There's no problems. It's just, it's a bureaucratic process. It could take months right now to get your work permit. Wow. You can live on business visas, but every 3 months you need to cross the border and come back. And they're not allowing any kind of extensions in the country. They're not allowing like really any kind of like flexibility. Like before, you could just go to the border and we could do it right at the border and you could come back. But now it's like, man, you got to go and you got to leave for like a couple days and then you can come back.
Right.
So so this is what's going to happen with the teachers who don't have degrees. They're just going to be running on these business visas, and having to cross and then leave the country for like 10 days at a time or 15 days at a time and then come back.
That's not practical.
Well, that's kind of, I don't know what they're getting rid of corruption, which is like, up to you whether you agree with that or not. I'm not going to weigh in. But that's the reason. There's corruption investigations going on in Vietnam, and people who work in the government are all corrupt, so they're all like scared, and everybody's like, oh, I don't want to do anything, because I don't want to go to jail, so I'm just not going to do anything. So like things that should take 10 days are taking 3 months. Things that take, and I'm sure there's still lots of things going on that shouldn't be going on, because I don't know how you fix a problem like that.
I mean, it's actually in the system, isn't it? It's just so systemic.
It's just part of the society of giving gifts. Giving gifts when you do business. I mean, this is like in their culture for thousands of years. Like,
oh, mate, I even knew someone here that bought and sold a lot of land, and they asked me. They were like, "How could you?" Like they were asking about the UK, about how you can get around things. I was like, I mean, it's basically organised crime if you do it.
Oh yeah.
And they were saying to me that when they went to sell some land, I won't say who it is, but when they went to sell some land, they went to the office to register it, and they have to put down the price, and because the person knew them at the office, they forgot to reduce the price. The officer reminded them to reduce the price so they could get some coffee money, basically. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So at that level, I mean, so a government person. Oh, I shouldn't say that, should I? But yeah.
No, it's fine to talk about it. I mean, it's just the way it is. Everybody knows this. It's not like you're telling any like shocking revelation that is going to expose. Like literally, the police pull you over in Vietnam and say, "How much money do you have?" You know what I mean? Like everyone knows that it's like that. I mean, the thing with Vietnam is that it's getting to where they want to clean up their corruption, and I take my hat off to them, and I hope that they can achieve that. Yeah. But I think that they got to be realistic. They want to bring in a clientele of expats that are a better quality expat that's going to invest in Vietnam and bring money into the country. Those kind of people want a streamlined experience. That's why they pay me. That's why I have a lane. But as a country, if you can make that experience streamlined for them and like painless, they'll put up a lot more money. Yeah. Look at the Thai Elite visa. Because of the ease of it, it's just, it's a very popular program with people who have some money. And if Vietnam could just get that figured out, they could clean up all their corruption they want to do, they could do whatever they want to do. If they can keep that process streamlined, they would bring in a good quality expat that has money, that sees the potential growth in the country, that wants the lifestyle, wants the culture, and I think that that's really possible. But I think that the way the anti-corruption thing's happening right now and the way it's affecting people in my business, in my sector, is that it's really difficult to get foreigners to like want to pay a high price for you to protect them through a process that's very scary. And they don't really know why. They love the country, but they can go to Thailand, and that process is a lot less scary. It's still scary. Yeah. You still got to be careful in Thailand who you do business with. There's a lot of dishonest people in Thailand. There's a lot of dishonest people in all these countries. And that's where I think we're really valuable, is we try to connect people to the people who are reliable and who do the right thing.
It's a gateway through. It's basically leading, kind of hand-holding to get you through to this part where you're in the dark a little bit for some people.
And you have instant network.
Where you're like, right, I'm through. Yeah, you've got a network of finding somewhere to live,
visa, jobs, housing.
And at the end of the day, it's kind of like, if you don't, the thing is, you can look on the internet, but I think it's you just don't find out until you're there, and to make those connections is not easy. So to pay a fee and go like, right, we can tell you what is doable, what isn't, and to hold your hand, and like kind of is hand holding in a way, right? You know what I mean?
It is a little bit for some people, but for some other people, it's just business connections. You know, like like when you first came out here, I had to hold your hand and show you how to get into the country during a very hard time.
COVID thing,
But now you're fucking out here looking to buy investments in Phnom Penh.
Yeah.
So it's just a progression of making relationships.
Yeah, of course. No, absolutely. But I think for a lot of people, it's, especially the first country they go to.
Yeah, they need some help.
They want that security, and also it's a big leap, isn't it, for a lot of people to leave that kind of. It's kind of conditioning of the West as well, isn't it? To be like, you should be here.
And they have different expectations. They think things work like the West, and they don't.
Yeah, you can't know, mate.
They don't.
You can't, if you live in Vietnam, there does come a point where you go, I understand that not everything's going to work exactly the same as the West, but that's the price of having the extra freedom in some way that we have.
Oh, you have a lot more freedom in Vietnam than you do in the West in some respects, but then in other respects you don't, because if they decide to just do something overnight, that's it.
The government
it's a wrap.
Yeah.
And like that's one of the reasons why long term I see myself settling down in like somewhere maybe in the Balkans.
Right.
I'm kind of leaning towards Albania or Montenegro. You know, I like that part of the world. Honestly, I got to tell you, but if you want to make money, Southeast Asia is by far one of the best places to create hustle anywhere, whether it's Laos, Cambodia, but it's all about your level of hustle and networking and making people like you and moving in the right circles. And you know, you could come out to Phnom Penh and not everybody has a lot of money. Some people come out and they don't just need someone to hold their hand, they need someone to make sure they don't get fucking taken for their small savings while they're trying to start their life over in a new country.
Yeah.
So I love working with people like that because it's exciting for them for their first time to go out and do it. But I also like helping people set up companies and helping crypto guys figure out how to get bank accounts, and like, you know, there's all kinds of stuff we can help you guys with. So anything to do with this part of the world, get at me. If I don't specifically deal with it, I'll find out about it because I have a network of people who are in a lot of different countries. Central Asia, we're going to be heading over to South Asia soon, hopefully, but you never know. And right now, very strong Southeast Asia, Balkans. I'm strong in some places in Latin America. So, you know, we're just building this bigger and more expansive network, and it's important to me to have you guys meet previous clients who've worked with us and know us.
All over a number of years, and many times,
And, you know, we've kind of looked after them, and like, you know, this is how you show transparency, guys. There's a lot of bullshit on the internet. I think like me and Mish, we're a small family business. We just try to be authentic and like give you guys the realities of living out here. All these countries have problems. Just because there's corruption, just because there's issues with infrastructure, it doesn't mean they're not fantastic places for you to get your money, you know? And maybe for a certain type of person, they are a good place for you to spend the rest of your life. It's very cheap here. You can retire in some of these countries very easily. Thank you for watching the videos. I don't know if you're looking to retire, if you're looking to invest, if you're looking for help with you know, any kind of business consulting in this part of the world, get at me. I can help you guys out in all of Southeast Asia. I'm really strong out here. We're expanding destinations. We have real clients that you can watch our videos.
Yeah, and also one thing I would add is it's not just me, but each time when you ask for a reference, there's lots of people and they give they sing your praises, and they're very strong references.
I'm really happy that he said that, because that's another thing, guys, and I always tell people this over and over because there's so much bullshit on the internet. If you guys want some references, if you're serious about working with me and you know, you're like, okay, I'm gonna pay a guy some dough, I want to make sure that he's not a fucking scam artist, I'll give you a group message of a bunch of guys that I've either gotten jobs for or helped them get into Vietnam during the pandemic or gotten them off blacklists. And
it's a lot of people, and they will it's high praise. It is high praise. They're
really interesting group of characters with diverse backgrounds, and sometimes they all get all crazy, and I give them a group where they can be all crazy with each other if they want to. They can just use it for whatever the fuck they want to use it for, you know?
Yeah.
But you can also use it for networking. We have that, and the reason for our group messages, there are positive people in the groups, and if you post something like, I need some advice on something, people in there will give you advice. So
for sure.
Yeah, you can use it.
I've done it before where I've posted things and just to get a general feeling for, because also there's a lot of people who are living different lives, but they're okay, maybe they're living in the same place or they've had some experience, and they'll give you, you know, they'll give you some reaction.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you were having any doubts, because I understand before I did, I wasn't sure, and then I'd used it, it was absolutely fine. If you have any doubts, I would suggest asking for references, and then you could go from there. But I can pretty much guarantee you, if you individually spoke to anyone that gave a reference, they would be happy to to verify for you, I'm sure.
And they have been so far, and I bother them sometimes more than a few times in a week, and you know, because people need that. They need to hear that, you know, because there's so many scams on the internet. And honestly, guys, you guys need to like not listen to what you hear in like visa groups on Facebook. I actually control a lot of visa groups and a lot of like large groups for Southeast Asia, like, you know, like expat groups and real estate groups and on Facebook. So I watch it and I police mine very strictly, you know, I don't let in a lot of that bullshit, but there is a lot of shady, dishonest actors that are saying crazy, dishonest things, and like, yeah, I mean, you can't really, like, if you go on there, you're just gonna get an agent who's someone who like, they're not gonna maybe specifically have someone in immigration, they're just gonna go down there and like grab a guy, hey, I got a foreigner, let's make some money, like, you know, they speak Vietnamese so they can come at them and like, oh, look, you know.
Make a deal.
But if we send our people down there with you, it's like gonna be the same people that we work with for like everything. Right. And he sends them like people constantly, so the situations get sorted out, and like then we come with you to the airport to also make sure that you're not bothered at the airport and that everything's okay. Right. And then we get you on the plane out. So like depending on what's happened in your life, in your situation, are you overstaying? Have you been blacklisted? Do you have issues with the law? You know, it could be very expensive and complex, but we can still help you. So I want you guys to remember that it's Southeast Asia. Just because someone's wearing a suit doesn't mean you can trust them. You know, we've lived out here for a long time. We've made good business relationships in all these countries. The people are really great. The governments, for the most part, are driven towards business, you know, in one way or another. And if you find the right sector to fit yourself into, you can really make a good future for yourself here. Thank you for watching the video. Subscribe, share. I hope you guys found this information honest, straightforward, and this is based on our perspective. We're not like political commentary. We don't have a political opinion of any kind. We're just mostly looking for a nice place to live that's business friendly and that we can grow and bring money to.
Yeah.
Are you thinking of living, investing, buying property, buying land, working, or spending any significant time in Cambodia? Cambodia is an amazing country that offers a wide range of different opportunities for someone who has an open mind. If you're thinking about coming to Cambodia for the first time, we offer a consulting service for people who are looking to have everything done for them before they arrive. They want their housing contacts, their employment, their consultants, whatever they want to find in the country, they want it set up. That's what we do for you. We make it easy so that you don't have to worry about scams, problems, or other pitfalls that new expats face in this amazing country.